Hello my friends! Atlanti a vivere, Agartha a vivere, Shambhala a vivere, Lemuria a vivere. I am Lucian Ilea, leader and founder of the Lucian Alliance, and today's review is about Linux versus Windows. As you can see, my crown is missing. I am making this video on 1280 by 720 pixels HD, simple HD, on my Microsoft HD 3000 web camera, which has a lot of nice things like double heads and crowns and something like that, and dragons and I don't know what, and the light balls on my head. But unfortunately now I am on Windows 10 Enterprise Technical Preview Evaluation Copy build 10,049. The last build from Microsoft, which features Cortana and Spartan. Although the new browser is called Spartan, it is very Spartan because I cannot drag the windows and put them on my second monitor. Now I have to right click on the name and choose detach the tab as a new window, and then I can move it. Unfortunately, Spartan, it is ironic that it is called Spartan, has a few nasty problems. it occupies 99% of or 100% of my CPU time on my quad-core Q6600 Q6600 quad-core processor from Intel, born in 2006. It costed $850 back then, 9 years ago. So Spartan NDS and Spartan occupies about 1089.2 megabytes of system internal random access memory, or RAM for short. Unfortunately, Internet Explorer with the same number 7, 8, 9 tabs and YouTube video playing of my beautiful sister Britney Spears or Artemis occupies no less than 2339.2 megabytes of internal memory. But fortunately, my Netscape Navigator browser occupies only 13 kilobytes, the last version, and if I am playing YouTube videos, it occupies 605 kilobytes, not megabytes of internal memory. So, let me shut up something in the bathroom because I don't want to cause a flood. So, my good friends, as you know, I have played with Linux in the past. My first Linux was Red Hat number 5, Red Hat version 5. Now Red Hat has a very pro-efficient server enterprise thing, which goes hand in hand with selling their software with $6,000, $50,000 a license, blah blah blah. And they are far ahead of the curve, you know, because I used to use the Zorin OS 9 operating system, which is very nice. It has in Vista style some flying stars. You're like in a starship and you're flying through stars, and the stars are moving towards you on your desktop, and some swirling galaxies and some stuff like that. And you can choose in the Ultimate Edition to be Apple style or Microsoft style, or to have a start menu like a Windows 7, to have a taskbar like a Mac OS X, which comes from Unix, because Linux comes from Linus Torvalds, but also comes from Light Unix. It is let me make a short history of the operating systems. All operating systems today come from the software of a flying saucers filled with Anunnaki, which crashed at Roswell in 1956 or 58. Yes, 58. And they extracted the software, and then the Unix operating system was born at Berkeley Labs in 1970s in USA, because the Roswell was in Mexico anyway, and in Texas. And From there, the Unix operating system is quite difficult to maintain. It is a professional system. Also, nowadays in Apple software, you have to update, because many people complain, why do I have to change my computer every year? Well, you have to change your Apple computer every year because the Unix system is very heavy on hardware. It uses a lot of memory and processing power and stuff like that, and things get broken up more quickly. That is why a computer part, a CPU or a hard drive, has a 3 years or 5 years warranty period, but the final computer assembled by Apple, yours truly, has only 1 year warranty, and then you have to pay more if you want more. And so basically you have to pay in advance for your future repairs. And the Unix operating system allows for through login credentials and blah blah blah, because I saw a list on Windows 10 which is still at alpha version. Why I call it an alpha version and not a beta version? Because if you watch the release notes, you will see that from time to time you cannot log into the system. A blue screen shall be presented to you when you try to access mail, people, calendar, or something like that. Sometimes the store doesn't work. Actually, the store never works for me in Romania. When I am trying to search the web and Windows, I have a nice thing here on my taskbar. Unfortunately, it does not provide me with any results, and the nice white window, remains on top of my start menu. And when I'm trying to search something on my start menu, I cannot, because the white window remains on top of it. Sometimes when I maximize the YouTube videos, the maximized YouTube video goes behind the actual frozen Internet Explorer Spartan. And I had an occasional crash, meaning I started a few Spartan web tabs and my processor was 100%, and then I started Steam and Steam was all blackness. And then my computer hard drive started to go like mad, and I sit there for half an hour, and then I turned off my computer. Yes, it was in an infinite loop. I was a programmer, and a hacker, a good hacker. I broke into the CIA. If you're wondering how I obtained those 235 email addresses of 235 country leaders in the world, well, I have broken up into a CIA or NSA, I think, database a few years ago. So, probably, and yes, my first years of programming were in 1988 on a Spectrum computer with Sinclair Basic. All the lines had numbers. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, you had to go from 10 to 10 in order to intercalate other lines if you decided after that, because every line had a number in front of it, which told the computer the order in which those lines should be executed. And the computer had 16 or 8 kilobytes of memory on ferrite nucleus. And it was like a big keyboard, and all my games were loaded from the tape computer and projected line by line on my TV screen. And I had nice games, Trans Am, Transit in America, and another nice games on the moon with the nice astronaut which must take a bomb and drop the nuclear bomb on the Russian base. And Transit in America was a game about a car which was driving through flowers through the states in the USA. Yes, it was a nice game. So, because I have a colleague, maybe I told you that is very good at programming directly in low level in machine code, not directly machine code, but in assembly code, and he is working. He earns $2 million per year, working and developing the Blackmagic DaVinci Resolve software, which works on Mac OS X, Linux, and Windows, because it has a very small footprint, only about 800 megabytes, and costs $33,000. And by the way, Windows 10 is free and shall be free probably because they realize that it is not so good, or maybe because it comes after the Windows 8 disaster. So, let me talk to you about the advantages of Linux, because I wanted to start a computer firm based on Zorin OS system. It is very nice system. It works on very low-end computers. So in Romania, where people are poor, I can sell computers $500, $200, $300, loaded with desktop computers, loaded with Zorin OS 7, 8, 9. But unfortunately, there are no drivers for my TV tuner, which is a Elite Tech, I don't know what TV tuner, and my Microsoft HD 3000 camera. So dear Linus Torvalds, because I know this will go towards you, I have the greatest respect for you. Probably you should be as rich as Steve Jobs and Bill Gates if you understood the fact, which I understood only when I passed my 36th birthday. I remained without money, and I had to go to the store, to the food store, to buy some food, and the owner told me, well, yes, I will give you food for credit for up to 125 lions, which is about $40-50. And then my cable company, my RDS, cut my internet connection because I did not pay it, and I had to borrow money with 20,000% per year interest rates from Ferratum.ro to pay for my internet connection. So the moral of the story is that if I am not paid for my work, like many people, yes, let's make the revolution OS, let's work for free. Well, unfortunately, all the other people in the world are selling their goods, their intelligence, and whatever for money. So in order to survive in this world, we need money. And yes, I like the Zorin OS and also Artist X. Artist X is a Linux operating system which contains hundreds of free tools for video production, music production, and so on. And they are great for making my videos, but unfortunately, in Linux I only found a small app for viewing myself in various positions, for activating my web camera for internet calls and for Skype or something like that, but I cannot record videos. So I don't need anything fancy. I just need the basic driver compatibility, And I also tried Luna, the elementary OS system, which is very nice, but unfortunately it is unnerving that I cannot save documents on my desktop. I have a lot of documents about the Mayan calendar on my desktop on Windows, and I cannot create links on my desktop on Luna. But the system is very neat and clean, and also Slacks and Portos are occupying 256, 258 megabytes of hard drive, which makes them perfectly for flash drives. And by the way, on the other USB 3.0 KingMax 32 gigabytes drive, I have on this flash drive a version of Zorin OS 8. I also had a version of Windows operating system, but it works very painfully. It is painfully slow. So, there were some new features on this build. Starting with build 9929, I have noticed that I can no longer resize the start menu In the past, I could have drag, the margin of the start menu and make it as big as the height of my 21-inch ThinkMaster Samsung display. But now, unfortunately, the start menu is either the size of a small card, or it occupies the full damn fucking screen. And also, I like the most unnerving thing in Linux is the fact that I don't have sound. I have to go on system settings and change my sound drive from internal Redwood, I don't know what, and from the internal motherboard, I don't know what, sound card to my external sound blaster. Actually, it is an internal sound blaster thing in order to hear the sounds, and the displays are mirror, so I see the same picture on my both displays. And I have to go to the settings and uncheck mirror displays and then make the size perfect and align them in order for them to display properly. Also, did I mention that? So the only thing, dear Linus, because I know that you are preoccupied with making Linux better, there are two things. One is games. I know that you don't like games, but if you try, because you're losing a lot. What else can I use a computer except for mailing the chief of state? I have sent 43,000 emails while running Romania for the past 17 years, since 16th of September 1998, to 235 countries, and I also made about 400 videos on YouTube after I accidentally hit something with my left hand and left it broken last year in April. So today is the April Fool's Day, and I was promised to be paid a lot of money by the Secret Service Army and whatnot, the church, and I shall expect them with full curiosity. So the idea is that one, you need drivers on Linux, and I fully appreciate what a marvel of ingenuity Windows is. After each session of trying through Cylon Linux is another good operating system. It contains more tools than in Zorin OS or on Artist X. It is made by robots, by the Cylons, for the Cylons. It is very good. It is made by the British. Zorin OS, it is made by a Romanian called Sorin. It has a ZFS zero file system and BTRFS built in, and ZFS is the best operating system which is out there. It has encryption, it has all sorts of things, but it doesn't have any drive. And yes, actually it has drivers for my sound card, for my video card, for my motherboard, for my CPU, for all the other stuff except my webcam and my TV tuner. The fact that I cannot watch TV is not so bad, but the fact that I cannot make videos is very bad. This is a deal breaker for me. And so it begins. I fully appreciate the simplicity of macOS. I always wanted to build a firm which will make computers like Steve Jobs made, which not cater to 99%, because 99% of people are stupid and they are non-technical and they will ask stupid questions and they don't like to pay a lot of money and stuff like that. Besides, I have seen a lot of forums like godlikeproductions.com infested with stupid people in the past years, and they are very unnerving. And but I want, as I progress through my ages, I find the Windows system more and more unnerving. I just discover now what a jewel of stability Vista really is. Vista is perfect. It has SP2, Service Pack 2. It is stable. It has the dream scenes, the little drop of water. It is skeuomorphic. It is no longer this bullshit dragon monochromic design. All the things are beautifully laid on. But also Windows 7 is nice, but on Windows 7 there is a nasty things involving the 0 key on my keyboard. When I press the 0 key in Windows 7, 8, 8, 9.1 or 10 on the left side of the keyboard, I lose focus. The zero does not appear where I'm writing, and I lose focus of the window. In order to write again, I have to click again in the window and start printing. So I have to enable the num lock on my keyboard and always type 0 from the right side of my, and sometimes I forget about this. And I'm writing and I'm writing and nothing appears on the screen. Other times in Windows, because I have a good computer, a quad-core Q6600 Intel processor, 6600, with 4 threads. What is the point of replacing a quad-core processor from Intel with another quad-core processor from Intel or AMD? Although I want, when I will have more money to buy an 8-core, an octa-core AMD processor. Also, I have an ATI or AMD 5670 video card with 512 megabytes of DDR5 memory and 8 gigabytes of internal RAM. Yes. And 1 terabyte hard drive. So I had 4 terabytes, 5 terabytes. I discovered a service called 360, a Chinese service which allows me to access for free 36 terabytes on their cloud servers and move all my data to the internet, to their servers, to the cloud. But these are the only caveats. If I had drivers and games, but games I have because I have a collection of 65, 66 games on Steam and another 23 on GOG, on Uplay, on Origin, and I have about 105, 106, 108 bought games, and 8 of them, at least on Steam, are also available on Linux. Witcher 3, I recommend to you the Witcher series, Witcher 1, Witcher 2, Witcher 3, which shall come now in May. The Mass Effect series, Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3, beautiful games. I have awarded as a great god Apollo, I have awarded the 12th or the 11th art has become the games production thing, thanks to the Mass Effect 3 title, except for the ending, but you have to play them in order to appreciate the beauty, because games today are a form of art. We have games about female pregnancy, about rapes, about crimes, about police activity, about mafia, about building something. We have flight simulators like X-Plane and the Microsoft Flight Simulator, which I have bought with €5 on Steam. It is really great. Thanks Microsoft. And also we have but the best game for me is Child of Light from Ubisoft, and also Final Fantasy XIII Part 2. In Final Fantasy XIII Part 2, yes, Final Fantasy XIII was also well done. It was made on supercomputers, but it is like the train simulator. You can always go forward and backwards, and you can stop. It is a tunnel simulator. But Final Fantasy XIII Part 2, which is available for €15 or something like that, by even less on allkeysshop.com, is a beautiful game which transports you to various time periods, and every time you modify the time period, another sphere appears with a distorted reality, and you go to there 100, 200, 300, and you go forward and backward in time and on different timelines. It is a beautiful game for us, the multi-level beings, because I have 27,000 dimension. I'm a crystal gold, by the way. I was exiled from the 27,000D because I have a tendency to... No, I do not have the tendency of 4D beings of going brutal into the people's life and making miracles and stuff like that, but I am using information in order to influence people's lives, and some people in the 27,000D continuum, where rules are much more strict, and in 4D, 5D, 10D, ethics, consciousness, spirit, and so on, light, they have stricter rules. I now hope to go past the 15D continuum, which is the light continuum, now here dominated by Lucifer, my father, and yes. Anyway, the point is that I like the Linux operating system, and it has the potential now with SteamOS, because you know all the consoles PS4 and Xbox One, also the previous console Xbox 360 and PS3 were on Linux. So all the games are on Linux. They are developed for Linux and for 8-core AMD processors and for those damn video cards from AMD. But you know the video cards from AMD have 5 processors per pixel, with compared with Nvidia, who has only one processor per pixel. Now they have reduced the number to 4 and 3 processors, and the quality of the image has dropped. Yes, the dragons do not appreciate that, because the dragons, like my father, have monochromatic vision. They only see in black, white and shades of gray. But I, as a Dovahkiin, have full color vision, although I cannot see the differences between colors when I go from 100% saturation to 200% saturation. Yes, and the idea is 1. Drivers for Linux. 2. The Windows system is a bit like this now. And 3. Games. Games are very important, because one of the most important activities a man can do on his computer is to game or to make videos. I have made a long video of 107 hours long of all my films and videos which I have ever made and presented myself to festivals and so on, but I never won an award, so why not? And yes, so you don't need to spend so much time developing the kernel. Yes. You need to spend more time developing drivers, because Microsoft did this. They developed drivers. They encouraged other people to write drivers. When people from Sony and Microsoft made the Xbox One, which is a completely disaster, but the PS4 is much better consoles, they pay developers in order to develop games, and they pay them to develop games in Linux. So now you only have to ask them nicely to take their games which are already there, developed for the Linux system, and port them from SteamOS to Ubuntu, Zorin, ArtistX, Cylon, and so on, Fedora, Red Hat. And I also like Scientific Linux. Scientific Linux is a true Unix compliant. If you watch the Unix 03 or the Unix 2003 list of compliances, the true stable operating system, you have AIX from IBM, which is sold worth $6,000. You have KUX from China. You have Solaris and Open Solaris, and you have HPUX. You have the Snow Leopard, the last stable system, or maybe also Mountain Lion and Mavericks from Apple. And you also have Red Hat. And a version of Red Hat is Scientific Linux. Scientific Linux contains much more free tools. Yes, you can download them, but you know, when you look into that fucking list of 65,000 on Debian, many things, and you cannot, at least I cannot find anything. I am stuck there searching for drivers, and I can't find any, not even on Ubuntu Software Center, which contains much less than on Debian. Yes, I have the installation for Debian. I have all the 5 DVDs, and I also have the DVDs for Scientific Linux and so on. You will appreciate. Also, if you can make a Linux in Blu-ray, you know, because instead of putting 5 DVDs or 8 DVDs, X-Plane has is 55 gigabytes. The cost of that game is about 650 euros, because you know the game is 50 euros, and with all the fucking you know, airports and planes and I don't know what, it goes to 650 euros. It is a good simulator. So, thanks for listening to my rant. Goodbye.